Hey there, welcome to Bandit's Keep. I'm Daniel, and in this video we're going to create a wilderness dungeon. Not so much a hex crawl, but a wilderness dungeon. This is an idea that comes from this Kickstarter I backed a while back called Into the Wyrd and Wild. I'm using it now in my original Dungeons & Dragons campaign that I'm running in person. Effectively, what you're going to create is, you think about wilderness, we've talked about this before, is you've got these like long kind of narrated travels. You've got hex crawls where it's one hex at a time. You roll to see what's there. Do you discover things? And then usually you find a dungeon within. What this does is it takes that single 6-mile hex and it breaks it down into a dungeon itself. Now, I don't know if I'd make, and this is your campaign, I don't know if I'd make your entire hex crawl this, because it would, unless you just want to do this really in-depth wilderness dungeon, which you can do with this. It's got spells, monsters, all kinds of cool stuff. But the way I would probably use this is some individual hexes will become these kind of dungeons. And you're probably saying, wilderness dungeon, we're going to get into it now. So there's a procedural process here by which we make our wilderness dungeon, which I'm going to show you over here. This is my iPad. We've got a step-by-step process. There is, of course, a little intro. It talks all about it. You can get the PDF on Various TTRPG. I'll put a link. I'm not sure if you can buy the book anymore. If I can find it, I'll put a link to that as well in the description. But anyways, there's step-by-step here generating our dungeon. On the left-hand side, you're seeing basically a screenshot of one of the pages in here that you're supposed to print out so you can create each one of these hexes. It's like a worksheet, if you will. So what it says for step one is begin with a single hex, which we did, and then draw one or more entrances. Now, it doesn't say, exactly where to put the entrance, and it says one or more. So I guess they're leaving that up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it random. I'm going to roll a 6-sider, basically as a 2-sider, and we'll see if we want one or two entrances. I rolled a 4, so that's going to be 2. And I'm going to roll here to see which direction the entrances are coming from. I'll roll a d8, and we'll start it with north being 1. So 6, southwest, and 3, so east. So one entrance is coming from the southwest, one's coming from the east. So let's mark that down. I'm just going to go in the center-ish. Okay, so those are my entrances. So now we've begun. So the way this works is we have this worksheet, right? I've already printed this one out. You can see I've already filled this one in only at one location. This is, again, for my home game. The way it works is you print that sheet out, and then you roll a d8 to see how many locations there are, and then you drop that many of six-sided dice on here, and then you just mark them up. Because I don't have cameras all over the room to do that, I'm going to do that on the ground, and I'll just, kind of come back and write it in the iPad. But we'll roll a d8 here. Let's get over here. Determine the amount of areas. We're going to roll a d8. 8. We got 8 areas. Okay, and now we take 8 six-sided dice, and we're going to put it on the ground. You can see here in this demo, in this example, we're going to put the paper down. We're going to drop the 6-sided dice on there, and we're going to note the numbers and where they fall. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I have all my areas here on the map. Dotted out again. Each one has a number in it, and that's going to be important. The next thing we're going to do is, we placed them on the map exactly like that. The next thing we're going to do, we draw the area. We've got our sizes. Now we note the size of the areas. So we can see that there's a D6 here. And for instance, this one up here at the very top, you see there's a 2 on there. That's going to be a small grove or a campsite. Okay, so you can get the idea of these. So each of these, and some of them are close together, but keep in mind that each one of these hexes is a mile. So even if like 4 and 5 down here at the corner, right near the entrance, you've got a 4 and 5 right near each other. A hamlet, a large riverbed, and then you got a hillside or a cow pasture. Those could be near each other, right? Maybe with very little short trail between them. So easy, right? Now we've got this set up, and I'm going to actually transpose this into a notebook as well, which we'll do in a second. But now we want to set the number of trails. We're going to roll a d6 plus 1 to see what trails are here. Okay, 4 plus 1 is 5. So we've got 5 trails, and there's 8 areas, right? So this is going to be kind of interesting. So we've got 5 trails, and what we're going to do is we're going to start somewhere. Drawing trails, start with a single area, move from area to area, connecting the areas with the number of trails that was rolled. Okay, and then once we have all the trails, then we're going to determine, if we're going to determine secret areas effectively. So we're going to start at the top, just because I like to start at the top. Because you don't need to start at an entrance, because in the end you connect to an entrance automatically. So I just start at the top for simplicity, and I'm just going to go around clockwise because that's what I feel like doing. It doesn't say you have to do that. And what we're going to do is for each trail, we're going to roll to see what kind of trail it is. So the first trail, so starting at number 2, going down to, it says number 2, that we're down to 6, is 8. Okay, so 8 is a special trail. And if we look here, special, a path that is odd and exists outside the realm of reason. GMs are free to come up with whatever they choose, so long as it's unique and interesting. Examples, through the multiple alinum, into the mouse hole that shrinks traveler's path into the past, a path into the past. So, yeah, it can be really cool, right? So right away, we're getting a fun one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this, then I'm going to note it. It's kind of a squiggle line, and we're going to go there. So there's a special trail that goes there, and obviously it's special in both directions. Now I'm going to connect this one with the other number 6 over here. 6. Difficult. A difficult trail, paths and trails that have either begun to decay or are obstructed in some fashion. Traveling these paths take twice as long. Traveling any faster risks becoming a lost, overgrown trail with an ancient creek bed, the remains of a wall. So again, we're going to add stuff on these trails to make it more interesting. This is going to be where kind of the creativity of the GM comes in. But right now I'm just going to mark it as a difficult trail. So I'm just going to go, I'll just go straight across. Again, you can have it come in wherever you want. Okay. Now we're going to go to the next trail. So we're going to go from that number 6 to the number 2 below it. And we're going to roll that kind of trail. And remember, we've only got 5 trails so to draw. This is also 8. Wow, okay. This is going to be a very fun wood. So again, 8 is special trail. That's 1, 2, 3 trails. So we're going to keep going clockwise. We're going to go to number 4. That is a number 4 trail, which is difficult. It's a long, difficult trail, so that should be interesting. I might actually, just for interest's sake, make it, swoop down a bit too, because, and come in from the bottom of this. Make it a little longer. Now keep in mind, right, that you're still going to use your normal, this is a dungeon, right? So if we look at it like this, and this is a long trail that's dangerous and slow, that means there's going to be more chance they're going to encounter things like wandering monsters, because we're going to keep that in mind when we do this. We're going to create a wandering monster situation. Okay, and then we've got, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We got one more trail. It's basically connecting 4 to 5. 7. 7 is a dangerous trail. Okay, this is a short one, but dangerous. Just so I can see it well enough, I'm going to go like that with it. Trails that are hazardous or pose legitimate risk when crossing. Traveling them is twice as long and always possess a chance of harm. A crevice at the edge of a sheer cliff, along an acid swamp, across a field of broken glass. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So that's a dangerous trail right there. Okay, so now we can see that we don't have enough trails. Now it says is, starting with a single area, move from area to area, connect an area with the number of trails was rolled before. If all points have a trail connected to them, use any leftover trails to connect any points that were not already connected without crossing over lines. If this is impossible or absurd, simply stop. Areas that are unconnected are considered widowed. For each trail, roll 1d6, blah, blah. So the widowed trail, that's a hidden trail. Areas that are not connected with a path or are widowed are connected to the nearest area with a hidden trail. This is a trail which requires foresight, prior knowledge, or sufficient search to discover. Connect any areas that do not have a trail with a hidden path to the nearest area with a trail. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this, and again, a hidden trail is like these like a dotted trail basically. Now what I could do is connect this one that I just made with the one above it as well. But I think that that might end up meaning that 2 areas are likely not going to be discovered. And since I like to have areas get discovered, I'm actually going to connect it with this number 2 over here. And this way we can basically, there's 2 ways to go in. Now, and of course 2 ways to go out. And some of these areas are special that they might never explore. Some areas are going to be explored fully. You can make quests in different areas. Like these secret areas could be something that they're looking for, right? And we can actually tie that in if we want. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is, so this has a few options here. As we go through this, we can see how they're doing it. Connect. Now, right, almost forgot the last thing. You connect each entrance to the nearest thing to it. So I'm going to connect this one to this, which is a regular straight trail, and this one to this, right? So, boom. Okay. So that means that you're going to come into these areas with you're either going to go to this number 6 or this number 5 when you come in. And then we can do additional information. It talks about how to create a hole. You can see here creating a hole map. Now, it's got all kinds of fun stuff here. Wild fauna and flora that you can encounter, diseases, and things like that, hazards. So we may use some of these on the trails, right? Now, the other thing we can do is, if we go here, okay, random trails and paths. Okay, so we can use this to get the ideas for our trails. And you also have a name for the dungeon, which we should definitely do. You've got a danger, and you've got a secret or treasure. And then we have basically wilderness scenes that they can encounter, types of woods, smells and sounds, and then we have encounters. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually... Okay, this is what I was looking for. We also have this 100 weird locations. Now, this is a D100 list. Obviously, you can create all your own locations that you want, but since we're trying to make this a relatively concise video, and I think this stuff's really fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this, but if we look at these, for instance, the first one, through a corroded iron gate, past a line of weeping statues, a great stone abbey sits untouched. Now, of course, if you rolled that the area is a stump, right, that's not going to work. So instead of... like looking at my areas and then rolling randomly, I'm going to roll here first, then I'm going to see what area might suit that. And if it doesn't suit it, then I'll just won't use it. I just won't use it. And then what I'll do is I'll just create something myself using one of the other random things, or I'll make something that makes sense based on my own thoughts. Since numbering the areas is not going to make sense, I'm going to use letters. So what we'll do is this will be A. And then what we'll do is the trail between A and B, since there is only one trail between each, to make it easy for me, I'll just say trail A-B. So that's kind of how I'll make my my key. And just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to drop the map out of here, open my notebook, just write down the basic notes on that, and then we'll get into this. All right, so I've transposed the stuff into my notepad here on my iPad. We'll jump over here now and do it. And the first thing we're going to do is name the dungeon. So we got the wilderness dungeon. All these are D50 tables for some reason. So I'm going to roll a D100 and cut it in half, basically. So we're going to roll twice here to get our name. So that's 17. So we'll say 9. Oh, I guess it'll be 8. Oh, and that's 2. So 1. So 8 conifers of absolution. Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. Now, the other thing which I didn't do before is we want to actually go back up here, and we've got some random entrances. We kind of skipped over it. So random entrances is a D8 roll. This is going to be for the east entrance, 4. The door of a mad scribe's closet. I like that. Okay, and the southwest door is 5. Beyond a trail where sinners were walked to their death. Okay, so we have the conifers of absolution, which is a wilderness area that can be entered basically magically, right, through a teleportation portal and through a closet, or it can be got to, physically following this path along which sinners had to walk. So that's kind of cool. It actually kind of works with the name and everything, right? Okay, so let's go in, and like I said, I'm going to use the 100 random locations only because it'll be much faster to do it this way when we're actually trying to do a video for it. But of course, you can just go through the book and find whatever is really cool in there. So there's 100 here, so I'm going to roll 100. And like I said, I'm not going to do them in order per se. I'm going to roll the 100, and I'm going to then see which area makes sense. Okay, 10. Rolling really low. I should use these dice for Call of Cthulhu. Okay, so 10 is Bristle Pine Grove, an ancient gnarled pine trees, looking more like dignified shrubs, grasping tightly to the side of their scree hillside. They are ancient beyond measure. The stories they could tell, the world long gone. Okay, so this could be a sage type thing here. So it's basically a grove of trees. Do we have a tree? We got an acre of trees. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let's put this as area A, actually, because that works. Cool, that worked. Let's roll the next one. 99. Oh, wow, okay, all the way to the end. 99. Weird stones. Stones of shale stand tall and solemn like lonely men. Their surfaces are carved with the most intricate designs and script. Flowing across the form, the etchings are in perfect harmony with their natural forms. A spellcaster who studies these stones for more than a week can learn Their secrets, gaining knowledge of 1d4 new spells. That is great. Okay, let's see. Do we have anything? That might actually be cool for the Ruined Abbey, right? Yeah, let's put that for one of the Ruined Abbeys. Oh, Large Ray of Stones is actually here at H. I'm going to put this in H. The reason why is because I feel like this should not be something that they necessarily just stumble upon. This is like a quest item. You know, again, these are the kind of things that we can use to get the players into these wildernesses. This might be the reason why they're there. You know, depending on how you play the game, if you're using like straight up BX, you automatically learn a spell every time you level up. But when you're playing something like OD&D, like I am, where I'm using this for, after their first allotment of spells, they got to find the rest of them. Or you know, research them. Okay, let's roll another. 33. Fungal carpet. The area is dark and unnatural ceiling of vines and moss block all light, as well as traps a damp, cool air. The ground is spongy and massive colonies of fungal growth. You can see corroded blades and armor covering slime molds and nightcaps. Their owners long since digested by the fungal carpet below. Okay, that's pretty cool. So let's look. Small grove could work. So we have that hillside or cow pasture, large riverbed. Okay, so I think small grove is going to work for this one. This is going to go in D, which is the first empty small grove. Cool, let's roll another one. 18. Darkly Lake. A smooth beach of salt and pepper colored sand surrounds a great lake. Small gentle waves lap at the shore, while its depths are the color of dark emerald. Cool, that could be any number of things. Large riverbed, I guess. I mean, it's a lake. But looking at these things, large riverbed, Ruined Abbey, acre of trees. Okay, so I'm going to say large riverbed makes the most sense here. So that's going to be an E. Very cool. Okay, next. 64. Old growth. A carpet of pulsing root-like growths cover and strangle everything within sight. The air grows heavy and airless, while life and color is drained from the surroundings. Old growth is a primordial life form, old when the world was young. It is driven by insatiable hunger and seeks to consume all in its path. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Let's see. We've got Ruined Abbey, acre of trees. Ruined Abbey, acre of trees. Hillside, cow pasture. And we've got Hamlet, large riverbed. I think here I'm going to go with hillside, cow pasture, because that makes the most sense. Clearly, it can't be an acre of trees, because if it's consuming everything in its path, it would have eaten the trees. Okay, we got 3 more. This is a pretty good area. 92. Tomb of the First Mortals. A pile of giant flat stones and packed earth serves as a marker of a primitive tomb. Climbing in through a small crawl space between the stones and the ground leads to a vertical shaft of dirt. At the bottom is a circular room with several skeletons along the wall. Each is adorned in primitive jewelry and hunting tools. All sit upon thrones made of bone and horns. These were some of the first mortals. In their time, they were heroes, laid groundwork for all civilization. That's pretty cool. We'll put that one in Ruined Abbey, acre of trees. I'll put it in B. So in the end, we might not have, well, they might not all work out, right? So let's see. So far, everything's working out, but as you get closer to the end, this is a 51. Lair of the Mega Raccoon. It reeks of death at the base of this mountain. Oh, it's a mountain. Okay, Hamlet, a large riverbed, and we have Ruined Abbey, acre of trees. Neither one really works. Sundered trees, shattered bones, gouged into the mountainside, great black cave. Huh. All right, for this, I'm gonna look at the actual map, because I feel like this would not be super close. I'm trying to remember. G is a hidden area, so that's pretty cool. C is actually, let's take a look at the map. So it's either C or G. G's hidden, so that would make sense. C is basically the entrance, so I don't think we want although maybe that's the reason why. Well, that's the entrance that goes through the weird, the scribe's closets. That's actually the perfect place for it. And obviously, they can just not interact with it. They can try to sneak by. Remember, not, set up a situation, not a combat encounter or a social encounter, just there's a giant raccoon cave here. Figure it out, right? And with maybe they'll have a little research. They're going to be going in through the scribe's thing. Maybe he'll warn them. There's a giant raccoon in there. Whether or not they believe him, that's a whole other thing. 73. Ponderous silhouette. A shale cliff face juts awkwardly when observing it from a particular spot. The rock formation looks like a pensive and thoughtful face. Okay, does that work for Hamlet, large riverbed? Why not? And what's cool about that is this is actually a hidden area. So again, we could associate something magical or something with it if we want. Remember that in the end, when you're using these random things, you want to use them as an inspiration. You don't want to necessarily be like fixed to it. So yeah, it said grove of trees. Maybe that wouldn't have been perfect for the face, but it works for me. It's a hidden area. It looks like a face. They're going to travel through this secret path into this area and see this cliff that kind of has a silhouette of a face. That could be something that they're seeking. It could be just really a cool encounter. So we want to always keep things open. It kind of worked with the story that we're building here. So next, let's do the paths. All right, so let's look at the trails now. We're going to use, again, a lot of these random tables in here because I have the book. But, then we'll kind of interpret them as we need to make them work for us. So let's start with the entrances. Remember that the first entrance to see, the east entrance, well, I should say, yeah, that's why I rolled first, but that's what I'm going to write it first. The door of a mad scrap's closet. So basically, you're going to come to the back of a closet. I mean, that could be almost anything. So let's roll a d50 and just see when you come out of the closet, what you see essentially. Let's see, that is 97, which is basically 49. A line of robed monks silently pointing the direction of travel. Okay, that's actually, I don't know that you could come up with something better than that. So you're going to come out of this closet and step into this trail. It's going to be a bunch of monks just pointing. Okay. All right, the other one, remember, it's after the trail that these sinners took or whatever. So let's see what that one is. And again, these are safe trails. 46 is 23. A tunnel-like terrace woven from thick spiderweb and desiccated bodies. Again, that works 100% perfectly for me. Okay, the special ones I don't think we'll be able to do here because, they're special. Also, the secret ones might be hard to do as well. But let's just roll to see what the trail itself is. Then we'll figure out the secret part. So let's just do the secret one. Let's skip special for now. Okay, so it's 30. 60, so 30. A snaking carpet of ants serves as the trail. Oh, you know what? That is actually 100% perfect. God, it's funny when these things just work out. They're going to notice that these ants are going into the woods, and if they follow the ants, they'll follow the trail. That actually works really, really well. Okay, B is a difficult trail. So there are like hazards and stuff. So let's actually go the danger. So this is not dangerous, it's difficult. So I think if we do, okay, Wilderness Scenes has some stuff that I think works pretty well for that. So let's just roll here. Okay, so 43, cut in half, which is 22. Ridge of a metamorphic rock juts up angrily. Oh, there we go. So it's a dangerous ridge to cross. So there we go. That actually works perfectly. Again, the difficult is the difficult, right? If they go slowly on it, then they'll be fine. It's just going to take some time. So there you go, right? That's easy. While we're here, there's another difficult here, D to E. And one thing I want to do here is 18, so that's 9. An abbey now decayed. Interesting. Why would that be difficult? Again, this is not a trail, it's just things that doesn't really work for me. So let's roll again. 92, a bear graveyard. That's interesting. That feels more dangerous than difficult. Okay, while I'm here, just because it makes sense for me to do it now, I was going to try to do all the mechanics first and then go back and add flavor, but I think this is important. So it's a bear graveyard. Why is it difficult? What we'll say is anyone entering must move slowly, very slowly, or disturb the undead bears. There we go. So it's only dangerous if you if you mess with the bears. And let's see. And if we go up to the rock, it's just move slowly or risk falling. Right, easy enough. Okay, and of course the ants we don't have to explain that anymore. So let's go to the next one. This one's dangerous, and I do see here that there's something that's called the dangers. Yeah, the dangers. Let's roll that. 12. A mad druid holds the name of a primal deity. Oh, it's dangerous because there's a mad druid there. Holding the name of a primal deity. Okay, well. Okay, so we have a mad druid who holds the name of a primal deity. Okay, they're going to attack you if you violate one of their taboos, and I'm just going to put a D6 list of taboos. If you're wearing a hat, you drink alcohol. We'll think of a few of these. I'm sure they'll come to me as I go. I'm not going to sit here and figure them all out now, but we'll think of 6 taboos, and then you'll just roll, let's say, roll D3 of the taboos below. Okay? And, there we go. It's simple enough. Okay, so the next one here, we've got 2 specials and another secret. So let's just roll again on the regular trails and paths and see if we can make that work with the secret one. 63, which is 32. Oh, littered with shattered glass and mirrors. There we go. That also works. That all works pretty well. But I think what I want to do, there's 2 special ones. The reason why I didn't do those right away is I want to look to see what's in these locations and then see if we can come up with something that works. And maybe we'll roll a little bit too, but let's see. So the connection between A to B. So A is the grove with the trees that could tell of history. B is the tomb, right, that you have to crawl down into. Circular room. Time with heroes, laid groundwork. Okay, so what we want to do here is create something where, and you can, well, that's not true. You could go both ways. So perhaps what we'll do is make it something that you're going to need to do with the heroes, right? They're gathered around in a circle. Let's roll on a path and see what we get, and then we'll see if we can spice it up to make it more special. All right, 3. Which would be 1 or 2. There remains a stone wall crumbling, a wide footpath dusted with coal ash and black sand. I'm going to roll on the types of woods. 74. Sparse, thin, leafless pines. Smell or sound. 8 will be 4. Faint plucking of strings. Okay. Now, so I've rolled on a bunch of different tables here. Ash, a path of ash, right, and stone. We get the plucking of strings, some leafless pine trees. So what I think we'll do is we'll create an interesting path. Okay, so looking at the little bits and pieces I got, this is what I came up with. There's 2 ways, because obviously it goes both ways, right? From the tomb, you must sing the song of the first mortals, and a path will open through the wall. The way leads through bare pines that look as though they have been burned in a massive forest fire. Black dust covers the trail. From the other end, only the trees know the way. They can ask a squirrel to carry the party back in their mouth. Squirrels fill their mouth up with nuts and stuff. So, I'm going to leave it at that, right? The song of the first mortals will be written in the wall of the tomb, but I'm going to put that up here. I'm not going to put it in the on the path, because you got to know that, right? Okay, the walls are covered with runes that speak of the deeds of these first mortals in the form of a song. That should be enough to get the party to sing. If your players don't sing at any possible time that they're offered that, I don't know what to say. Okay, so back to this. Okay, so we have one more trail from the lair of the mega raccoon to the fungal carpet. This is actually a crazy dangerous way to go. So this could be really interesting, right? You've got this mega raccoon, reeks of death at the base of a mountain. Claw marks have sundered the trees, gouged into the mountainside. Okay, so yeah, you've got this mega raccoon. And then you've got this long path or not long, but a windy path that's special that leads to the fungal carpet, which is this crazy fungal monster that wants to kill everything. So you have 2 major kind of dangerous things going on here. And they need to be protected by something through one of these special situations. So it could be some kind of thing. Again, I've already used an animal carrying somebody. I've already used some kind of a song. So I think we want to make the path something, I don't know, interesting and weird. I think I'm going to jump over to Donjon. Okay, so I decided I was going to jump online and look around for some stuff, but then it occurred to me how I found the last one. Let me just combine some stuff from this book. So let me go back and take a peek. I've got this walk through the woods, right? So let me just roll a couple of results, because sometimes just that will be enough to get something going. So let's see. 20. So that's 10. The ruins of a camp. Oh, but also a grove of pear trees the fruit worm-filled. Well, that's interesting. And we've got 12, which is 6. Armor weapon skeletons, a long-forgotten battle, sparse trees, and perfect, careful rows. Okay, what if we do like a grove? Like this is going to be like a rough forest here with this giant raccoon that's knocked everything down, but yet there's this like grove of perfectly lined up pear trees. And when the party goes to approach them and they pull a pear down, which they will, they'll see that there are worms crawling in the maybe they won't know that until they bite into it. Or they take the pear down, and if they bite the pear, then they turn into a worm, temporarily, and they then can crawl through. They land on the ground, and they see that there's worm tunnels that they can go through. And for a while, they're worms until they come out the other side. Yeah, that works. Okay, so with this pear tree idea, what I've got this as a concept is once you eat the pear, you immediately turn into a worm, which you then fall on the ground. You see a whole series of tunnels that you can clearly climb through. All your gear and stuff falls off you, though. You're basically naked because you're a worm. You crawl through. You stay at worm 1 hour. It takes 30 minutes to crawl through, so if they sit around too long, they might risk problems. They come through the other side. They're near that fungal area. From that side, though, there's just a portal, basically. It's like a pool. And that portal is just a glowing light that you can just step through. It's like easy, right? And once you know where it is, you could do so from the other side as well. So effectively, what could happen is a party member could go through the portal, go through the worm part of it, come out the other side, turn back, and then just step through the portal back to where the rest of the party is, and then they could all come through the portal. Or they could all go through as worms and come up the other side and be naked and figure it out from there. There's a lot of ways this could work out, so I think that's probably a pretty cool and interesting way to handle this. So we'll see how it works out in play, but that's how I'm going to go with it. All right, let's take a quick look at all this. I need to come up with a couple more taboos, but I think at this point we've got a pretty good combination of funkiness and interest. Now, the final thing I'm going to do here to make this work, just because we've got this in the book, is I'm going to create a wandering monster list for this. It was going to do 6 of them, and this book has a set of encounters, Wyrd and Wild encounters. So I'm just going to create a very basic, I'm not going to worry about like a 2d6 roll or anything like that. I'm going to let this be completely random. And what we're going to do is, as they're traveling through, there's a chance they're going to encounter some of these things. So let's see. This is a list of, 50. Okay, same thing. They love their 50 lists in this. Okay, so 44 would be 22. 22, wandering Grimkin, striding through the forest. Mood, the Grimkin walks the same path as always, its stride always unbroken. Okay, interesting. So Grimkin is... Okay, just to give you an idea of how some of the monsters and stuff are in this, depending on how long this goes, maybe I'll go through all the monsters, but let me just show you the Grimkin. So here we've got a Grimkin striding through the forest. Mood, Grimkin walks the same path as always, its stride always unbroken. The way they list this, it has scale armor class, basically. It has 20 hit dice, 300 hit points if you're using that, and it is powerful. So basically, this thing is something that you want to get the heck out of the way if it shows up. And right here we have rules to go with them. So the like signs it's coming. A rhythmic rumbling carouses through the ground. The sound of giant footfalls draw close, and soon the whispers of growls of 100 feral mouths grows in volume. Standing as tall as the largest of pine trees, a creature with bone, branch, stone, horrid, writhing flesh bones, cloth drapes over its profane form, and upon its shoulders sits a horrifying parody of the head enshrined in a crown. So, yeah, unless you're really high level, you're going to get the heck out of the way from this thing. So, there you go, Grimkin. And that's the way this should be. This thing should be scary, right? And depending on where they encounter this, they're going to be able to use the environment to run from it or whatever they're going to do. So that's a Grimkin. Let's go to the next. Okay, so that was the Grimkin. I just went through and just rolled the rest of it so we can have a basic idea of what we're getting. 2 would be a root troll, and you can see it's silently weeping among the trees. It has different moods. You've got Slaverin, you've got skunk apes. These are all monsters from this book, which kind of fit the scene. You've got grove of violent trees and a feral knight who's guarding a spot. So basically now we have our little random encounters. We can roll. What I would normally do is, I mean, obviously I have the book, so I'm not going to do this. But if I was writing it for an adventure, I didn't want to access the book constantly. I'd keep D6 random encounters, but I'd probably get like 3 more of them. And then what I would do is, as I use one, I would just replace it. You know, that's usually how I do like a hex crawl. That way it keeps it fresh. But effectively, because remember, you're moving through a large area, so it's not necessarily going to be the same like kobolds and then kobolds and then kobolds. So you want to make sure you got a good mix here of what's going on. So let's just walk through this thing as a kind of a final thing. You guys can let me know in the comments below things you'd like to add to this, or if you want me to do more like this, or this one I'm going to play in person, so we probably won't have a video of it. But if you really want to see it played through, then you know, maybe I can make that happen. So let's just bring this up and let's take a peek. Okay, so here we go. Our wilderness dungeon, the Conifers of Absolution. There are 2 entrances. One is in the southwest, beyond a trail where sinners were walked to their death. One is to the east, in the door of a mad scribe's closet. This is probably the one that I would use if I was running as a one-shot. Like, that's a good way to get in, right? But if you are using this in your world, it's obviously easy enough to do that. And if you come back out the mad scribe's closet, that could be really cool. Could be a different dimension. Could have teleported to a place far away. Pretty cool. All right, so these are our areas. Bristlepine Grove, right, with the gnarled trees and the ancient trees that can tell stories. A tomb of the first mortals where they can go in and sing the songs of the mortals. You could put a magic item down here or something, or treasure. You could even put a combat if you really want to. A lair of the Mega Raccoon. This is going to be a massive combat unless they can, you know, it's going to be tough to beat it. Maybe they can trick it. Maybe they can sneak past it. It depends on the level of your party. The fungal carpet, again, is going to be more of the terrain thing, right? It wants to destroy anything, and they've got to, like, get past it somehow. How? They'll figure it out, right? And then we have a Darkly Lake with a beach. You can put something in the lake if you want. You can, you know, put treasure at the bottom, which is probably what I would do. You could put an underwater dungeon in there. Hillside with the old growth, right? This is the place where the air grows heavy. Old growth is a primordial life form that it's in, you know, it wants to consume anything in its path. So maybe that's moving, actually. Then you've got the ponderous silhouette, which is basically a cliff that sticks out. And maybe, again, that's some kind of a magical thing where we could connect to it. Any one of these location sites could be its own little mini adventure, right? You could do like a 5-room dungeon type adventure for each of these. And maybe we'll do that. You know, let me know. And then we have the weird stones. Okay, so effectively, and then we have the trails in between. We have a wandering monster list so that the party can encounter some combats if they want. You could add more to this. Like, again, this is a D6 list. What you might do is, if you want to keep it more straight, or, you know, with your whatever your system you're using, you could do like have like a D6 wandering monster list that is the kind of normal monsters, if you will, for your system, and then have like number 6 be a descendant of the forest, and then use this list for that. You know, depending on how you want to play it out, because a lot of people might not feel comfortable having their first level party encounter, you know, a 20-hit die giant. So let me know what you guys think. I definitely got some comments before as we're starting to wrap up the BX kind of adventure creation process. People asked about other systems that have methods to create, and I have this one. I've got also the Hateful Place, which I'm going to do next. So I'll do a few of these to kind of mix it in, and maybe we can create multiple adventures with these different systems. And like I said, if you want to see this fleshed out more, kind of like the Mega Dungeon, I can make a short adventures for each of these. We can do those as videos as well. Let me know which of these locations seems the most interesting to you, and maybe something you might want to put in that location to flesh it out. And maybe we'll just turn that into a kind of a group project, if you will. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and ring the bell to get notifications. And I'll see you next time.